Hi Squad friends, this is ELANA'S, Executive Director of Urban Adventure Squad, Urban Learning and Teaching Center. Welcome to my recycled materials garden. Before I give you a tour, I wondered if you could take a slow walk around the garden and find some things that used to have other jobs and now we're working in the garden. So when schools and businesses started closing in mid-March and we all moved inside to reduce the spread of coronavirus, I started to think about what the garden might look like this year. I'm not an expert gardener, but I love experimenting. And I decided to challenge myself by creating a garden that didn't require me to go to any stores. We do our own composting. We've got soil in other parts of the garden. So I didn't buy any topsoil. And I didn't buy any mulch because we use dead leaves for that to add nutrients to the soil. So I started to use objects that I found at home to create planters and trellises and things that would help the garden grow. So let's take a look. So we just planted some seeds for late summer, early fall in this plastic box, which held some pastries that we really wanted, and we decided if we were going to buy a plastic box which was not recyclable, then we were going to have to turn it into something. So it is now a mini greenhouse with some holes at the top and the bottom. And then if you move a little over to the right, you will see a little skateboard, which is just for decoration, but it's holding a new planter, also some new spring greens. And that used to be a salad spinner, which is where you put lettuce leaves in and there's a part where you pull and spin it. That part broke, and so we repurposed this part as a planter, which is great because it has lots of places for water to drain and for the soil to stay moist but not waterlogged. And then we've got this is a pepper plant that used to hold another kind of plant. And then we get to the basil tire garden, which is super fun. I changed the tires on my car last year, and I asked the tire place to save one for me. And we turned into a basil garden, and that is kind of coming to its end right now. It was thriving for a little while. The soil in there was compost, brown leaves, and some topsoil from other parts of the garden. Behind it is an old fence gate, which we spruced up with some old paint we had. And that turned into a trellis for the beans that are growing out of an old cooler that I got from somebody in the neighborhood who didn't want to throw it out. And if you look behind the cooler, you'll see another trellis, two trellises actually. One used to be a bed frame, that metal one, and the one on the left was a pallet that used to be from a store, where you see in a store the display items will sit on one of these pallets, sometimes in a home goods store. And those are places where the squash and the beans and tomatoes can all find some places to hang on to. Welcome to our container garden and our supply shelf. The containers are resting on old tree stumps from our yard, and you'll see some blue and orange signature squad color paints. These are old squad projects that were built by squad members that we're repurposing. There's another pastry container that was also a thriving basil garden, and an old storage bin that is now housing a curry leaf plant. On the storage shelf, there's a teapot, which is not ideal right now for a garden. It needs to have some holes in the bottom. And there's a screen from a door that was protecting the basil leaf plants in the tire garden for a while, and we'll repurpose that for something else soon. This is the last part of the garden. You're going to see some tomatoes, an empty dirt spot where we just planted some salad greens, and you'll see zinnias. We have a pollinator garden. A few recycled materials here that I would love to share with you are the logs. They're old fence posts and scrap wood that we had around that we used to define this garden bed this summer. And this funny little thing is part of an old shower door that we had to take down this summer, and now it's creating a barrier for the garden. The last thing is, well, there's another tree stump, and then there's an old bench from a Squad Theater Week that we're using right now. It's not a bench that people can sit on, it's a bench we built for a set. And so instead of sitting in the shed, we like to bring the stuff out and make the space more beautiful until we can bring it to future Squad programs. Thanks for visiting the garden, friends. It was lovely to see all of you.